Hey everybody, welcome to the Average Dave's Movie and TV Talk. I'm Dave.
I'm Dave, squared.
Hope everybody's doing well. And so, what do you want to get? We get right into the intro today.
My microphone's staring at me. Yeah, Dave, let's go.
Our first subject today is going to be, I'll let you do this one because this year big into the Lord of the Rings. And it's the rest in peace to Bernard Hill, who played King Theoden.
King Theoden, hail the victorious dead. Yeah, this is old news by now, but
Lord of the Rings.
We are coming at you a little delayed. We do apologize. So, but yeah, he's. I mean, like the Lord of the Rings for my generation was like the big trilogy. I mean, we had a couple other ones. We had, the Dark Knight trilogy, despite the third movie having its limitations. The Matrix trilogy, I thought was excellent, but I mean, the Lord of the Rings was our truly great all-timer trilogy.
You can say it's one of the greatest trilogies of all time, period.
I think it's the greatest movie ever made, but we'll get into that at a later date. But to me, I was really upset when I heard about his passing. I think I didn't actually look into this. I mean, I had plenty of time, but I think he's the third main cast member to actually pass. With Ian Holm passing in 2020, he played Bilbo, and Christopher Lee passing in 2015. I'm pretty sure he's the third guy that's passed.
I think
I can't think of anybody else who was
Christopher Lee was a great actor.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was a phenomenal. He's probably one of the best villain actors of all time.
Yeah, he played one of the best roles in the prequels to Star Wars too.
Yes,
Count Dooku. Yep. He was awesome. We'll have that. We'll go back into that later on in the future episodes about trilogies. But I would put that up there, probably in my top three. Anyways, top trilogies of all time. But you could, like we've discussed before, you could actually say it's just one.
It is one movie.
One movie.
It is.
So, but a good trilogy actually would feel like one movie.
It's almost like they put out this outline and then followed it because they were just following the books. Could you imagine being in charge of a trilogy and just telling three different directors, just go do what you want?
Yeah.
Just go do what you want. I mean, that's so stupid that would never happen, right? Right?
Well, it does. And it did. And it ruined an IP.
I'll probably get into it later this episode a little bit.
Yeah.
But Dave, what is our main topic today? What did we say we were going to talk about?
Our main topic today, kind of a controversial one, and it'll be part 2 the following week, is our top, what we would consider movies that failed due to its DEI, which I interpreted
just as wokeness today.
Yeah.
The list that I made was just basically woke disasters.
In the movie industry, way back, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even the early 70s, I mean, everything was played by white actors for the most part. They used white actors to play Native American parts, Asian parts, you name it, they did it. And they started pulling away from that in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Everything was...
They had a Jew play an Indian in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. And so, things were going, and now they're going the complete opposite direction.
Well,
where you're at, they're changing characters' identities and stuff just to meet
things that used to be the things that used to be considered satire, like the character in. What was his name? Was it Stan in I can't think of the name of the movie. Life of Brian. Monty Python's Life of Brian.
Oh.
There was the one guy who wanted to be a woman.
Yeah.
And they just were like, but you can't be a woman. He's like, well, I want to have babies. And it's like, well, you can't have babies. Like, where are you going to keep where are you going to keep the fetus? It's just going to gestate in a box? And it's like,
right.
Yeah, well, now it's like, hey, guess what? Men can have babies now.
Stuff that was considered comedy back, 60s, 70s, 80s, even up until probably 10 years ago, you could never do anymore. And we're actually going to have an episode.
Well, I mean, the oldest thing I have on here is 2015, but that's just...
Yeah, the furthest...
As far as the actual movie being made, 2015 was just kind of like a
That's about as far back as I went, because it
I went
started
back.
getting
2016 was like the actual movie. So I mean, we're talking about the last 8 years.
It's gotten really bad in the last 8-10 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was some.
There's always been stuff like that.
Signs of change coming,
Yeah.
but I didn't. Really
and I don't mind change.
Really pick up on, no, I mean change is
change
good.
is fine, but when you're just doing change to check boxes on it,
Yes.
what, especially now with the Oscars, you have to have a certain, which we'll be getting to, certain percentage of things.
Nobody cares about the Oscars anymore.
Be considered for an Oscar
They've
award,
absolutely
which you're ruining
their credibility.
You're ruining movies just to do check boxes.
Yeah,
and that's for anything. But change is good if it's change that works, not just change to do change.
well, just donuts or Hershey bar that.
So
Change is bad.
So I mean, so these are movies that we consider are flops because of its changes, just to be changes.
Well, I didn't just do movies.
Oh no, I
And-
shouldn't say movie.
Yeah.
Movies and TV.
It was really entertainment projects.
But the problem is, there's so much entertainment to watch now.
You can't watch it all.
And so these are things I've seen.
So I've seen a lot of this. There's a couple things on here that I just haven't seen. But like, I mean, I've like watched trailers to it, and I'm like, so. All right, I'm just gonna jump right into my number 11, and it's because I only watched the trailer for it, and the trailer was actually offensive to me. So my number 11 was the American Society of Magical Negroes. Came out in 2014, and the premise of the movie,
2024.
Oh yeah. So 2024. I'm still waking up. Forgive me. So the premise of the movie is these black enchanters work to keep white people happy because, and this is a line in the movie, this is a line in the movie that I saw in the trailer, because white people are the most dangerous things on the planet. Just watching this trailer tells you everything you need to know about this film.
So
I watched that trailer, and I might hate watch this movie at some point just because I'm curious. And the kid who actually plays the main character in it, I don't know his name. He really seemed like a pretty charming kid. Like, he seemed like he could be a really good actor. Like, he had good screen presence. The person who said in the movie, the actor was David Alan Grier, said the whole white people are the most dangerous things on the planet. I mean, I used to like him back in the day.
But he hasn't done anything in ages.
Oh, no.
So,
But I did like him back in the day.
Yep.
So this is a movie that I actually could watch at some point. You actually watched this?
I did. And
please enlighten us.
It was not good. And the acting was horrible. The whole concept is like what you said. But if you...
Did the trailer give away like basically the whole movie?
Yeah, the trailer gave away what you just said.
So you could watch the trailer and basically
what you just said is what the movie was. Now, there was some good comedy. I laughed a few times.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but...
That's rare today, too.
Yeah.
They actually make a comedy that actually makes you chuckle a few times.
But that's why we're saying this episode can kind of be controversial to some people, because... But this movie was, if you're a white male, you're the worst thing in the world.
Well,
so
the trailer literally says it.
Yeah, but there was some funny parts in it, and the actors tried. It was just a bad script too. It was this. You could tell as they're going through their stuff. It's just very high, blah 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 blah. There was no life to the movie. It was bad. I say that's on my list. So,
okay, good.
So,
your list is a little bit smaller than mine, so I'm going to.
Yeah, because I'm going to start. If a movie doesn't interest me when I see it as a trailer or people talk, I refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
If it comes out for free, I'm not going to support a movie company for something that I don't like. So if it comes out for free and I can see it on a streamer for free or something like that, I'll do it. But if it's just something I see on a trailer or somebody talking about it and I have zero interest in it because I know it's just going to probably be a bad movie or it's going to tick me off, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I did watch it.
Speaking of that, number 10, Bros. Came out in 2022. It was a Billy Eichner-led gay comedy. It had a budget of $22 million and approximately $35 million went into marketing and only had a box office take of $14.8 million. Movie ends up with a group of second graders being taken to an LGBTQ museum according to its wiki page. I wouldn't know I'm never going to watch it. I know I'm not going to watch this movie, but like, they're pushing the woke agenda in this when they're having second graders go to this gay museum, and it's like, and apparently for the whole production, it was every person involved in it was a member of the alphabet community. So he was surrounded by yes men who just, everything that he said was hilarious.
The problem with these movies also it's not just this, a lot of things now, they blame the audience.
Yeah.
If something fails, they blame the audience. It's not, they don't blame the movie, they don't blame the script, they don't blame the producers or directors, they blame the audience. People that, look at the Star Wars thing. The reason the movies are failing for Disney is because the audience doesn't know what we're talking about. Look what happened with Marvel. Look what happened with DC. Look what happened with a lot of these things. People, they blame the audience. If the movie's bad, that's your fault, not the movie's fault. I mean, not the audience's fault.
And also, just because a movie is centered around gay characters doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie. No. Like, look at The Birdcage. Came out in, like, what,
Birdcage 97? Is a great
Nathan Lane, Gene Hackman, Robin Williams. It's hilarious.
The Birdcage is an excellent movie. If you have not seen movie. That's a movie you must watch.
You should watch The Birdcage. Excellent movie. I mean, especially if you're a Robin Williams fan. And, like, Nathan Lane, I mean, my God.
Nathan Lane, to me, is an underrated actor.
Yeah.
Underrated comedian. Because he's great in his comedic roles.
Yeah.
And Robin Williams, what else can you say?
He is a legend.
He's a legend.
He is an absolute legend.
I mean, what.
So yeah, just because a movie is centered around gay characters does not mean
absolutely
we are hate it. It can be done right, and it has been done right. Yeah. And this movie was not done right.
It was done wrong,
and it lost them a ton of money.
And I didn't see it, but they ended up blaming the audience. So.
All right, so for my number 9, I had the Netflix's Witcher series.
So high hopes.
This was after the first season too. Let me just read my little outline that I did, because I did outline for all these. See that? I did research. I did typings. I did letters. All right. I need to wake up. So, Henry Cavill-led first season was excellent, but started to go off the rails in the second season, focusing more time on Ciri and Yennefer, causing lead Henry Cavill to walk away after his contractually obligated third season, after which Liam Hemsworth would take over the role of Geralt of Rivia. Also, the spin-off Blood Origins was just awful. I tried watching it. I couldn't get through the first half of the first
I got through
episode.
I think I got into 2 episodes on that.
It was...
But The Witcher, first season of The Witcher...
Yeah, first season was great.
Was great. And the thing that I think made Henry Cavill walk is because they were walking away from...
The source material.
Which
I've never read, but I do own, and I'm going to read it at some point.
They're trying to change up characters, genders, races, just to do their checkbox again. People know the IPs. They know the material. Mm-hmm. And when you have an actor, especially Henry Cavill, who is all about, when he goes to take a movie role, he is 100% about the material.
And they assured him that he was going to, like, Henry Cavill, from what I understand, loved The Witcher source material.
He played the games, he did everything.
He, read the books, and he said, I want to do this. This is like a dream role for me, but I want you to stick close to the source material. And they gave him assurances that was their plan.
Yeah. And they walked away from it.
And the first season was really good. And I feel like these companies do like these great first seasons, and then the second season they start to put in some of their...
They want to change things up and go
some of their like woke...
Yeah, they want to go with the way stuff. The politics are flowing.
Netflix also did it with that show, Altered Carbon. Oh my God, the first season was phenomenal. And I thought, wow, this has an opportunity to be a truly great sci-fi series, which you don't get too many. First season was phenomenal. And then the second season,
it was bad.
Who did they bring in? It was Anthony Mackie?
Yeah, who I don't think is a very good actor.
That dude just sucks all charisma, all personality.
Yeah.
It
was bad.
Just all
you go from a
charisma.
A+
charisma
first, you go from an A+ first season down to, it was just bad. Second season was horrible.
Yeah, the second season was bad.
They walked away from it.
The only thing that I liked Anthony Mackie in has been Winter Soldier.
I liked him in that, but I also I think it was The Night Before with Seth Rogen. Jim
Yeah. I've never seen it.
It's a Christmas movie.
It looked good.
What's his name? Shannon.
Michael Shannon?
Man, he is the best part of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. If you haven't watched that, watch it. It's a funny Christmas movie.
Well, maybe I'll have to give it a chance this year.
You should. It's a funny movie.
Last year I didn't watch very many Christmas movies, so I just wasn't really in the mood. But the Netflix's Witcher series, I think they're still committed to doing seasons 4 and 5. I think they're just filming them back to back.
Because he got contracted for what, 4 season?
Liam?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was 4 and 5. I think.
So I think I've read that they are still doing 4 and 5. They don't have a release date. I don't even know if they've filmed them yet, but from what I understand, they're going to film them back to back and just release them and be done with it. I think their original plan was to do 7 with Henry, though.
Yeah. I don't know how many seasons was total, but
first season was they were supposed to do 7, and then because, why do they let these activists run these shows?
That's what we'll get into next week.
I don't know. I just don't get it. So number 8, this one I did watch, 2016's Ghostbusters. Oh my God. So Paul Feig, is that how you say his name?
Feig. Yeah.
Paul Feig.
No, it's Feig, I believe.
Well, led cast of all-female Ghostbusters, and their male secretary was a box office disaster, losing Sony Pictures $70 million and all plans for sequels canceled. It was so bad in February 2022, the Ghostbusters Ultimate Collection released, and it wasn't included on a disc.
Yeah, left out.
I believe it did come with a download code, though, if you wanted to download it.
But the physical part was left right out.
It was not on a disc. I watched this movie, and it's
bad.
They were really relying on just the Ghostbusters logo to pull people into theaters.
The best part of the movie was Hemsworth, and he wasn't great.
No, he was awful. I watched that movie, and it was like,
it was bad.
I didn't get it.
No,
it wasn't Ghostbusters.
No,
it was like Saturday Night Live was trying to do an all-female skit of Ghostbusters,
and it was all Saturday Night Live people, and it was just bad.
They were.
They got killed. They got killed on that. When you leave it out, when you leave it out purposely, that tells you how bad a movie it really was.
I don't like the new Ghostbusters movies. I haven't seen Frozen Empire. I'm going to watch it. I saw Afterlife. Didn't like that. I liked the beginning, and I was like, okay, this could be really good. And then the rest of the movie happened.
Is watchable. Frozen Empire.
It's watchable once.
Yeah, but
you're not going to want to watch it again.
But you have, they had such a high. You had Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's up here.
Yeah.
And Ghostbusters 2 is a great movie.
Fantastic.
And then from that point forward, they've all been a huge drop off.
So actually, the Ghostbusters video game that came out in the 360, I think in 2009 or 2010, was the original script for Ghostbusters 3. Now, they had to make some changes for gameplay purposes, but it was really good. And they brought back the entire cast, including the late, great Howard Ramis. He voiced Egon. Everybody came back and they voiced their characters, and you played the new recruit.
Yeah, there's a guy that, between acting and directing, producing, he had a lot of great stuff under his belt.
And he wrote a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
Animal House?
Yeah.
Caddyshack?
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, Animal House is a top 5 comedy of all time for me.
And you couldn't do that movie today.
Oh, God, no. There's so much stuff you couldn't do today.
You couldn't do Caddyshack today. So anyways, with Ghostbusters, leaving out that version tells you a lot.
What they thought of it?
Yeah. When your company leaves it out of a box set, that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's all that needs to be said.
They're probably pissed off because they had what they thought was a surefire.
Yeah, but they had
with
big money in
Ghostbusters. And they lost $70 million. It's about all I got to say about that. My number 7, Dave. Terminator Dark Fate.
Bad movie.
2019. James Cameron returns as a producer, along with stars Linda Hamilton, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a CGI de-aged Edward Furlong.
It was bad.
All to just kill off in the beginning, just kill off John Connors, and to replace him with a small Hispanic girl as humanity's savior, completely undoing the end of one of, if not the greatest action movies of all time. It just...
You ruined 1 and 2.
Yes.
With that movie.
I really only think there's been 3 really good Terminator movies. I liked Salvation. I really like Salvation.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get Salvation.
I'd say that's like number 3. Yep. My number 2 is Terminator, and my number 1 Terminator movie is obviously T2. Yeah, it still stands up today. The special effects still look phenomenal today.
Yeah. I mean, Terminator and T2 for me, depending on when I watch them, can be 1 or 2 for me because they're both excellent movies.
Yeah. Do you want a horror movie, or do you want arguably the greatest sequel of all time? Because you took the same exact premise, but you made Arnold the good guy this time. Spoiler alert, he's the good guy in this one. You better know that. And just turned it from a horror movie to a full-blown action movie, and my God, did they nail it.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Dark Fate had ruined...
The reason I hate this movie so much is just because it basically takes the corpse of T2, or it kills T2 and then takes a piss on his corpse.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It was so...
But you're changing up things to change up things to fill check boxes.
You know, like I saw Terminator Genesis, right? As a standalone movie, I thought it was fine. Although Terminator Genesis, the beginning of it gets rid of Terminator 2 entirely.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was horrible. Like, I hated Terminator Genesis, like, as part of the Terminator franchise, but as just a standalone movie...
But if you're going to do that, then make it not... if you would have done a standalone movie without the Terminator name to it...
It had some stuff in it that I liked. That being said, it was a horrible movie because the very first scene undoes Terminator 2.
But again, a lot of the problems with these movies that they're trying to change so much up... Just do a different movie with a different name, make it a standalone, and don't be changing up stuff. Well, from the IPs.
Well, the reason I bring up Genesis is because Genesis was hated, but for 2019's Dark Fate, they came out and they were like, "Hey, listen, this movie is gonna just like it's just gonna pretend that Genesis never happened. It's like gonna be a real sequel to Terminator 2. Like this is like going to be." Like, it's just going to pretend Genesis and Terminator 3 never happened, which Terminator 3 was okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's watchable.
But huge drops from 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But they were like, listen, we are ignoring 3, we are ignoring Genesis, we hear you, we're going to make a true sequel, and then they give us this, and it's like, so now Arnold's Terminator is a drapes salesman? No. He's a what? He's a seamstress?
Yeah.
He makes drapes?
Yeah. And you have Linda Hamilton, who, as Sarah Connor, was one of the greatest female badasses in film history.
Yeah.
And they kind of all invite that, too.
Yeah, so, whatever. But now, Dave, you can join us with your list.
So, I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But, like I said, if there's a movie or a TV show that I'm not even the least bit interested in, I don't even really care. I don't look into it. I don't look at the trailers and stuff. So, but my number 6 is the American Society of Magical Negroes from 2024. We already talked about it. It's just a bad movie. It's just a bad movie. We already talked about. But my number 5 is Velma, which everybody who knows who Velma is from one of the greatest cartoon shows to ever be made.
It's one of the earliest cartoons that I remember watching.
It had multiple spin-offs. It had movies, which is Scooby-Doo.
Video games.
Yes, Scooby-Doo.
It had animated movies, live-action movies.
You had crossovers with Scooby-Doo going into the DC universe with Batman and the whole gang.
I remember seeing them.
You know,
Batman and Robin and Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, you have a great lineup of characters in Velma, Shaggy, Fred, Scooby. You know, you name it. And then they go, and in 2023, they take Velma, they do a total race swap, gender swap, and sexual swaps.
Of just about everybody. I have them
The only one they left is Fred, and he was the lone white guy, and pretty much the whole TV series is just jokes about the white guys and are evil, and the stories are bad.
You know, the thing about Velma, too, is that they're They're in high school, right?
Yes.
So
just
they're
getting out of high
like
school.
15, 16?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that they're in high school. I think they're like sophomores, right?
In Velma?
In the Velma show, I think they're sophomores.
Yeah, they're sophomore and juniors.
So they're like 16 years old.
Yeah.
Well,
But
there's actually jokes in there making fun of Fred's penis size.
oh yeah,
So
you're taking
a child, a 16-year-old child, and you're making fun of his genitalia. That's
you're taking a classic.
that is 2023. That is comedy, ladies and gentlemen.
But you're taking
for
a
the modern
classic
audience.
IP of all times,
Yeah.
Scooby Doo,
And you're just
and you are totally doing a new take on it, which is all about the checkboxes, and they ruined it. It was a bad show. But again, we're saying something's bad. You might love it, and that's great if you do.
yeah.
Because entertainment, movies, and TV are totally subjective. And you've seen on some of our lists, he has stuff that I don't like. I have stuff he doesn't like. I love John Wayne. He doesn't like John Wayne. So, which I think he's wrong on. But, we'll get into
Genghis Khan, Pilgrim.
that was a bad movie.
Listen.
But we'll get into that later on, too, about John Wayne and Westerns and stuff. And my next one is Cleopatra from 2018. I attempted to watch this on Netflix.
Why? It's something that
Because
I'm sorry. You go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you. But when you're done, my question to you is why. But go ahead. No. Don't answer it.
So Cleopatra from 2018. Again, it was a total race swap and total switch of historical facts. Yes, I get it. Back in the day, Elizabeth Taylor played Cleopatra as a white lady. Wrong. You should have never played it. But back, like I said at the beginning of this, back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Hollywood was the other way.
That's how they did it.
Yeah, they were the other way. Everything was white males.
Hollywood was also
you had your few black actors, but everything was being played by white, which was wrong. But now they've gone the other way.
Oh yeah,
and it was a bad movie because in real life, Cleopatra is actually of Macedonian and Greek descent. She's not African American. But Elizabeth Taylor, it was just bad. I think it has a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Cleopatra was so bad.
The Egyptians.
You know where I'm going with this, sued Netflix, and I think Netflix had to pay them, $1 billion in damages?
I don't know if it was $1 billion, but they ended up settling.
They ended up having to pay a nation.
Yeah.
Netflix made something so bad, they had to pay an entire nation money for making fun of arguably their most famous historical figure. When
your Netflix critic score, I think, is 6, and your audience score is like a 2.
And do you know why it was that bad? Because they didn't play it as like a piece of fiction. No, they did it as if it was a biography, trying to actually say that this woman was actually black.
Well, like I said, they did that, and they also did they switched up historical facts.
Well, yeah,
in the movie, history, like history or not.
Yep.
History is history.
History is history.
You can't change it.
Yep.
Even though we got people that are trying to change history all the time, you can't do it. It's there. You learn from it. You move forward.
Yeah, Cleopatra was pretty bad.
And I will do one more, and you get back into yours. My next one is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my 55 years on this earth. Not 55 years of watching TV and stuff, probably 45 years. Rebel Moon from 2023 and 24 on Netflix. I don't even know where to start. This was a movie that was totally about the checkboxes. Every character was different.
Yes.
It's
like a LA Starbucks.
Yeah, it's a total ripoff from Star Wars. It's a complete ripoff from Star Wars. You could have brought Star Wars in scenes, and here's Han, here's Luke, here's Rock, here's the bar scenes, and so it was just bad. The acting is atrocious. The politics that they're pushing in it is bad. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. I mean, not as bad as Cleopatra or Velma, but it's bad. And this all about the politics that they're pushing in the show.
I remember you told me on a dare to watch it, and I did. And you know what? To get in the right mindset for this episode, a few weeks ago, I watched Rebel Moons 1 and 2. I watched, finally, the entirety of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I made sure to take notes for the sequel trilogy because I promise you I am never watching them again. Ever. By the time I got done episode 8, I didn't care about episode 9. I just watched it because I have like all kinds of notes from 7 and all kinds of notes from 8. And by watching 8 again, by the time I got to 9, I was like, I don't give a shit.
But you're a better person for watching it.
Yeah. Well. So you tell me to watch Rebel Moon. So I watched Rebel Moon. I believe I watched it right after the sequel trilogy. I was like, well, I've already watched the sequel trilogy. I'm already in a dark place. Let me just watch these. I almost shut it off 4 minutes in. The first lines of dialogue from this actress, quote unquote actress.
She is bad.
She literally, like, she should be a stunt double. Her acting is so bad. It's so dry. And the writing was abysmal.
Yeah, but
the first exchange of the movie had me wanting to shut it off.
Yeah, it's bad. But you have Charlie Hunnam in there, who is not the greatest actor.
I really like him. But he was bad in it.
Then you had Dujan. How do you spell?
I think it's Digimon Houston.
Yeah.
His name is.
Who's
from Gladiator?
Who's a decent actor.
And they go to Gladiator World to get him.
Yeah, it's so bad. And he's a decent actor. But even you could tell the script and it was bad. And again, who's this from? Zack Snyder.
Which, hey, Zack Snyder, love him or hate him. I tend to love him.
But when his movies are bad, his movies are bad.
This was I loved 300.
Oh yeah.
I love Man of Steel.
Yeah. I
really enjoyed the Snyder cut of
Justice League.
BVS, the theatrical cut was a nightmare.
Yeah.
The extended cut was better. It still wasn't great, but it was good.
But you shouldn't have to rely on extended cuts.
Yes, you should not have to rely on extended cuts for your stuff to be watchable. Yeah. You shouldn't.
No, but Rebel Moon is probably one of the worst sci-fi shows. I mean, I could go back to some B movies from the 50s and 60s and get a better watch. But it was the acting, the politics that were being pushed. It was just bad.
Well, the name of the actor who was the main bad guy in both the movies, his name escapes me. He played the first Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones, and then the good guy in those movies was the second Dario Naharis. Yep. So you had battle scenes between the two Dario Naharises.
He played in Deadpool too as
Francis. Yeah, I forget his name. He was my favorite character.
He was the best part of the movie.
Like, I was rooting for him to kill I'm not going to call her a hero. I'm just going to say the good guy.
The good guys.
I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
I liked him.
Yeah.
He was the only, in my opinion, likable character in both the movies.
So please end this show now.
Yes, please just kill her so we can finish this. Finish this thing. It wasn't good. But speaking of extended cuts, did you know that 3 months after the part 2 came out, they are releasing an extended cut?
Of course they are.
Of the first one, and then 3 months after they release the extended cut of the first one, they're releasing an extended cut of the second one. Yeah. Dave, I promise you I will not be watching it.
I won't watch it, but you know who? Because it's Zack Snyder. They have to cut the crap with that.
Yeah, just release.
Yeah, because people are getting sick of him. All right, well, now we're going to have the Snyder cut.
So wait a minute. With the Snyder cut, they did the Snyder cut, right? And then they did a black and white Snyder cut.
Have you seen the black and white version of Justice League?
Yeah, I think I did watch it.
I enjoyed that.
I didn't like it as much.
I mean,
the black and white didn't work for me.
See, I like some black and white. I enjoyed it.
Not like the movie Sin City or like Schindler's List, where it just worked. Yeah. To me, I wanted the color.
But I'm done with the extended cuts.
You know what? I don't...
Director cuts, whatever.
Just release the full cut.
Yes.
Like the movie Troy. No, I'm sorry, not Troy. Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven is a great movie with everything added.
Yeah, the friggin' theatrical cut is a nightmare. The extended cut is a wonderful film. Yeah. But it is also like 14 and a half hours long.
It is long. Well, could you imagine if they'd done that to the Lord of the Rings in the theater with the extended versions in the theater?
I would go see them.
Yeah, but you'd be in there, 3.5 hours, 4 hours? Yeah. It's a long time.
I'm happy. Yeah, but I'm happy in there. All right, so I think we better start rushing along a little bit. God's going to come in here and start yelling at us.
Yeah.
My number 6 was Doctor Who. Now, admittedly, I've really never watched Doctor Who. Yeah. But my sister used to love it, and she stopped watching. I think she stopped watching it before all this woke nonsense. But in 2017, Jodie Whittaker came in to play the first female Doctor. She was then replaced by, I think it's Kuti Gatwa, is how you say his name?
I haven't watched it.
As the first black, gender fluid, and openly LGBTQ Doctor. I saw some footage from the newest season with this newest Doctor, and it was the third episode. There's a villain called the Maestro, who is played by a drag queen from RuPaul's drag show. I guess that's a thing where they have amateur drag queens come in, and I have no idea what it is, but this guy apparently won a RuPaul's drag show competition, and then he got cast to play a villain in one episode of Doctor Who. And dude, what are you doing?
No.
Like,
I haven't watched Doctor Who probably since the 80s and 90s.
Who wants to watch this stuff?
Yeah, it was actually good stuff back then.
Yeah, well, my sister loved it when what's his name, David Tennant was like the Doctor, and I believe he was replaced by Mike Smith.
But they've got a huge backlash on this Doctor Who, so I don't think it's going to last.
Yeah, no, it's but
because
you know what? They do keep pushing it, and they are getting viewership, but it's not nearly the viewership that they could be getting if they were just trying to make
good shows.
The best story that they can, other than the best story that they can, with all these check boxes being marked, and you can't do both. My number 5 is Velma, which you touched on. I'll just read my little synopsis here. 2023, Mindy Kaling-led Scooby-Doo Abomination, where the titular character is a self-insert. Shaggy is now black, and he's also named Norville. Daphne is now Asian and raised by 2 lesbian moms, and Fred is the only character left racially unchanged, just so that he can be the butt end of anti-white and anti-male jokes, which is what we touched on. Boasts an audience score of 7 from season 1 and an 11 from season 2 on Rotten Tomatoes. And
Rotten Tomatoes is it's owned by some very left-wing companies.
Rotten Tomatoes absolutely adores the sequel trilogy. It even has pretty good audience scores.
Yeah, some of their stories,
and they have no problem deleting bad reviews to prop up.
Yeah. I mean, they're owned by, I think, Paramount. I think Disney has some share in it.
Disney owns Metacritic, don't they?
Is it Metacritic?
I think Disney owns Metacritic.
Yeah, because Paramount,
I could be wrong.
Paramount has something to do with Netflix.
Yeah.
When you have entertainment companies owning shares,
they shouldn't own these companies that review them.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do. So, and my number 5 is Marvel Phase 4. Started in 2021. And my only note I really took of this is behold the MCU.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
when they
what
started changing stuff.
I'm just going to name the TV shows, because Marvel Phase 4 is the first phase that actually incorporated a lot of TV shows.
Too many. Yeah.
I think the first 3 phases had that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, which was like a little mini tie-in.
Yeah, but that wasn't even really truly connected in
but they would reference it, right?
There was.
So the films from Marvel Phase 4 started off with Black Widow,
bad movie.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Decent movie.
It was a decent movie, but it didn't really feel like a Marvel movie. The Eternals.
Bad movie.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Really liked it.
Yep.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Decent.
Bad movie.
Decent.
Bad movie. Thor Love and Thunder.
Horrible movie.
Okay. And, well, this is probably the worst of the whole bunch. Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
I understand why it didn't get as good.
I get why it was bad too. Chadwick was a great actor and a great man.
He played Black Panther very well.
But the Black Panther movie was horrible. But he also stole the show in Civil War when he first came in. Oh, he was awesome.
Yeah, he was one of the best parts of Civil War.
Wakanda Forever
It was bad, but I can see what they were filling such a hole. They were just throwing.
They should have just recast.
I agree. They should have recast.
They should just recast them. Like, I get why they didn't want to, but at the same time, it's like you need to do what you need to do for the good of your franchise. And You're going to have some 90-pound woman play the Black Panther?
Yeah, I think what they were doing, they were just trying to show respect for Chadwick Boseman because he was black, but they should have recast.
They should have recast.
Yep.
Like, I get why they didn't.
Yep.
They still should have done it.
It was a bad movie.
TV shows, WandaVision.
I liked it.
Horrible.
I liked it.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Horrible.
Loki.
Did not like.
None
of
What
the seasons. I didn't mind the what ifs.
Didn't watch them. Hawkeye.
Not good.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time.
How was the
show sucked.
How was the MCU adaptation?
The show sucked.
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel is not bad. I will give. That is actually not bad because they actually stuck with what? The source material.
Dave.
It's not bad.
Last but not least, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Horrible. Horrible.
You mean it wasn't?
They were trying.
You mean that it wasn't so bad that Ryan Reynolds flat out said, "You're not putting that actress in my movie"?
Yeah. They were trying to take the She-Hulk Attorney at Law. They were trying to take the run from sensational She-Hulk comics, which are actually really good. But they just put too many modern day politics into it and made the show bad. When She-Hulk is beating up the Hulk, which she can't do.
Yeah, no,
but it does.
She-Hulk got her powers in the comic books by getting a blood transfusion from Bruce, right?
Right.
So she gets her powers in this one from saving him from a car crash.
Yep. It's a bad show.
My whole I don't know. It's I'm not going to ask.
So to hit on your thing with Ryan Reynolds. So Ryan Reynolds, everybody knows. Well, if you don't know, it's big. Is Ryan Reynolds is doing Deadpool and Wolverine.
Him and the writing staff and the director and Hugh Jackman and Henry Cavill are all fighting for that movie.
They are having huge fights with Disney over trying to keep it to the IP that it is. Deadpool's Deadpool, Wolverine's Wolverine. And what they're wanting is they want the She-Hulk in there. They want Captain Marvel, and they're like, no, we don't want it. They want to actually cast a Wolverina in the movie, and they're like, no, because we already have Lady Deathstrike and we have X-23.
Yeah.
We don't need to cast a Wolverina.
That's all you need. If there's a Wolverina,
So it comes out on July 27th, and so far from what everybody's saying is Ryan Reynolds and them are winning the battle.
And see it. I am going to go. I am giving Disney my money here,
and I hope I see Henry Cavill in there as a.
Oh God! I just watched Deadpool 1. I just watched Deadpool 2. Both of them are phenomenal. Yeah. They're so good.
I want to see him either as an alternate Wolverine or Captain Britain for Henry.
So, hey, just let him play both.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is, it's my number 2, but is The Marvels 2023. It was a bad movie. It was a disaster. Starting out from, they're making planets, whole planets sing. That's their language. Their language to sing.
Yeah, you're talking about the movie.
Yeah.
That's phase 5, right? Technically?
Technically, No, yes.
Yeah, because I didn't just cover it, and that was the entirety of phase 4. Yeah, I think that they are in phase 5.
It's a planet that sings.
Oh God, I saw that. I saw that in the
it's
trailer.
So bad. They did a major gender and race swap of a major villain again.
Oh yeah, it was. It's like Tom Hiddleston's wife or something, right?
Yeah, Iman Vellon is her name. Iman Vellon is a guy in the comics and IP. The best part of it is Miss Marvel.
Kamala Khan?
Yeah. She was excellent.
I heard that the actress that plays her is really
She's excellent.
Good.
I'm hoping they bring her back.
Good for her.
Yeah, I'm hoping they bring her back, but get rid of Brie Larson as Miss Marvel. She's horrible. She just looks like a miserable human being.
What's like the other one's name? Monica Rambeau?
Yeah.
Is she like the third one?
Yeah. She was all right, but Brie Larson as Captain Marvel needs to go. And my number 1 is Rings of Power. I know you're going to get into this. It's just a mess. It's just J.R. Tolkien is rolling in his grave.
It's not Lord of the Rings. I will never say the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power.
But it is technically that. But it's just bad. It's a $450 million budget, and it looks like crap. The politics in it are all modern politics, and it's horrible.
Oh my God. There was a tempest.
The gender
in her.
swaps, the race swap, it's just bad.
There was a tempest in her.
Yeah.
All right, so my list is 11 because by the time I was done, I literally forgot that this thing existed. And once I remembered, oh yeah, this existed, I have to put it in there because it was so bad, it's a top 3. And to me, it was The Matrix Resurrections.
That's not a good movie.
It put me to sleep, Dave. It put me to sleep, and I have no desire to go back. So 2021, Lana, formerly Larry Wachowski, returns without Lily, formerly Andy, to helm the greatest... I'm not going to read it. All right, the greatest shit in the face of beloved sci-fi franchise since The Last Jedi ever had. Neo returns without his powers. Agents aren't a thing anymore. Instead, anyone plugged into the Matrix can just be taken over by the machines and turned into suicidal maniacs, which before they used to, like, that used to happen. They would just turn into agents, though. But now they just turn into, like, these...
And the agents were a huge part of this series.
They were just, like, these normal people just turn into, like, mass suicide kamikaze people that just run in and explode into code. And I'm like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
They took all of Neo's powers and they gave them all to Trinity at the end. Spoiler alert, who cares? And the powers that Neo had when he started becoming the One again was he could just basically force push people. You took everything that made your thing great, you recast. So Morpheus comes back, but he's played by a different guy because the actual Morpheus is dead, but his like consciousness was saved in the Matrix and they downloaded it into another guy. Okay. You had Agent Smith come back, but again, he's played by a different character for I don't remember why.
I'm not the biggest Matrix fan like you are. I enjoy them.
I love the trilogy.
I enjoy them, but this was bad.
It put me to sleep.
Again, it totally took a great trilogy and ruined it because it's part of it. Part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even say it's not because the original creators came back and made it.
Yeah.
It's all right. My number 2 is The Rings of Power, 2022, with a budget of $465 million plus a $250 million spent acquiring the rights to it. Amazon proceeds to fill the production with activists, and the end result shows. Anybody who watched the press tours of the showrunners and actors, I say quote unquote showrunners and actors because they were all just activists.
But they were horrible. The actors
went on, could just hear. Wait a minute, what the hell was I saying? So anyway, their whole press tour was just, I am the first this, or I'm the first that to ever appear on screen in Middle Earth. Guy Ladriel is a wholly unlikable and completely narcissist. This show has no place calling itself The Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien would be ashamed of this trash. I gave this one a chance. But before I gave it a chance, I made sure I went back and I watched the trilogy.
Yeah.
By somebody who really actually gave a crap about it. And I couldn't get through 2 episodes. It was.
I think I made 2.
It was so much worse than what I had heard about it. There was.
That is a show all about checkboxes.
Oh, that show was horrible.
Yep.
That show was absolutely horrible, and I couldn't get through it, and I'll never try again. It's
bad.
There's no when they were filming The Lord of the Rings, Ian McKellen, who played Gandalf, kept a copy of all the books on set with him.
Yeah.
And he would go back and look up stuff for like reference. And you could tell from the finished product that the production crew, the directors, the writers, and the cast cared about this project and they wanted it to be as true to the source material as they could. And it was wonderful. Yeah. And then there's this show, which this is what you get if Lord of the Rings was made by... Thank God Peter Jackson made his classic trilogy 20 years ago now, because they wouldn't have made it this good today. And my number 1 is, and this is going to be a whole episode unto itself, is the Disney Star Wars fiasco. In 2015, Kathleen Kennedy, or I should say in 2015, Disney buys Star Wars.
Yeah, Lucas.
Lucasfilms. And they put it in the hands of Kathleen Kennedy, which I was excited about because
Everybody
You watch
was.
all of the classic Spielberg films, all of the classic George like Lucas films. Kathleen Kennedy was always in there as a executive producer, and you thought, hey, you know what? This probably should be the right person to do this. Yeah. And what did she do? In the words of South Park, she put a chick in it and she made it gay.
Yeah. You know, the forces.
It's so bad, and I have watched the sequel trilogy, and I can just say.
And it's not
this
just
trash isn't Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not just the sequel trilogy. It's the TV shows that they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, Andor, I like. Mandalorian, overall pretty decent. Boba Fett,
it's okay.
Horrible. Obi-Wan, when it first came out, I enjoyed, but before I watched it, it's horrible.
It was awful. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
So I have watched the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte.
Okay.
It's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be.
Give it time. There's more than 10.
But they totally walking away from Star Wars again, even though they have Star Wars characters. When you have Star Wars characters not knowing anything about the Star Wars characters in history, it should tell you something.
Well, I mean, that was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Rey didn't know who Luke Skywalker was, or like she thought that he was a myth.
Yeah.
When I watched the sequel trilogy, it was with a guy at work who had never watched the first 6 movies. So we watched them, and then he wanted to watch the sequel trilogy, which he had seen before, but he didn't like them. But now, seeing the first 6, he wanted to watch them again while they were fresh in his mind. And there was a few times when he just yelled at the screen, "This shit isn't Star Wars." Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's because it isn't.
Again, it's a lot of this, and this is what we'll get into.
And he's not a movie buff, and he's certainly not a Star Wars buff.
No, he likes his horror.
Yes, he likes his horror.
Yeah. But, again, it's ideology over art nowadays.
Yes.
And that's what our next episode, which we'll go right into, is our next episode is actually going to be why we believe DEI is ruining Hollywood.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Hollywood is no longer
it's our opinion.
A meritocracy.
But when you start doing the ideology over art, the Oscars are ruined. Nobody watches them anymore.
Nobody gives 2 shits about the Oscars.
It's just.
The last great thing to happen in the Oscars was the Will Smith smack. That was it.
I just want to see movies that are good. I don't care who's in it, what race you are, what gender you are. I don't care. Just
nobody really gives a shit about gender swaps if they're done right. Yeah. I adored the Batman, and they race swapped the Commissioner, and they race swapped Catwoman. Couldn't care less. Great movie.
Because it was an excellent movie.
It was an excellent movie. Yeah. And the people that they brought in to play those roles were excellent.
Because you know why? Because they were excellent actors.
Yes.
They have a long list of films they've done. They're not just throwing people in there because of this and have no acting ability.
I love Jeffrey Wright, and when I heard that he was, playing the Commissioner, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. One of my favorite Spider-Man movies is Miles Morales is Into the Spider-Verse. And it's a great movie.
One?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the first one was really good.
I like the second one, but I don't care. Nobody cares that Spider-Man in that movie's black. Who cares? It's a great movie.
They killed off Spider-Man and they made him black.
See, they're going to do. They're
going to do a
Nicolas Cage
one, right?
Black Man,
Okay.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir. So with that being said, we're going to close out today's video. And again, if you have any questions, send us the email. And our next one, like I said, will be what is DEI and what we think.
We're going to do it next week. There's not going to be the 3-week gap or 4.
We got to get back on our 2 weeks thing. Have a good night.
Enjoy your summer.